my style, them unusual. The views when me speak, you no need to agree. Me welcome all interactivity. Rock and come in, sit for your beat. Come make we reason for real.
And yo, Jal, I'ma say comment when you need to, like if you want to, and share if you have to. And yo, Jal. Welcome to another episode of Unusual Speaks. And this is where Kaldogal the Unusual express himself in such a way that he might sound different from the average person. My views are not necessarily those of any person you know on this planet. My views are not intended to cause any harm to any person, to any group, or to any organization. However, in the event that someone's feelings gets hurt during my presentation or my program, just understand, say, me have a big long ladder. And this ladder can help you to climb down out of your feelings safely. Also, I have some band-aids, and these band-aids can help you to patch your ego should it get bruised along the way. So with that being said, my people, let's get into today's reasoning. Alright, so today's reasoning, I am going into the Larceny Act. And this is an act that comes from the Jamaican Constitution. And when we say act, it's just a part of the whole Constitution. And this part is called the Larceny Act. Now, the Larceny Act takes on many different sections. And larceny, depending on where it is done, how it is done, it takes on different names. Alright? And so, let us talk about the simpler ones and then we get into the bigger ones. Now, predia larceny is not a simple one, but I don't want to deal with predia larceny today because predia larceny has so many extensions and it would take more than one program to explain predia larceny. But let us put that aside for now and talk about some simple larceny. So when you have simple larceny, it means that this is a larceny that does not carry a large fine or large prison time. But it can also be a felony even though it doesn't carry a large sentencing. Alright, so that's called simple larceny. And that is something that does not come with any high value. Simple larceny or petty theft. Alright, so the other one now is larceny by trick. Larceny by trick is that you trick someone into believing that this person is going to get something or this person is going to earn something, and then you would have taken this person's property with some level of deception, and that is called larceny by trick. And you would say now, how is larceny by trick different from scammers? Scammers are also They do larceny by trick also. And what they do now is to make you believe that you are going to get something that you will never end up getting. So larceny by trick can be looked at in a way like scammers. But scamming takes different levels. Alright, so that is still larceny. But I want to talk about one that most people would have skipped over. And this one is called larceny by findings. Now, larceny by findings, you're saying now, how can someone commit a crime by finding something? If you are walking down the street and you happen to see a big, large sum of money on the roadway and you run and take up that money and you now keep that money without making any steps to find the owner or making sure that there's no owner for this money, and then it later borne out that you were on camera picking up this money, you now can be charged for larceny by findings if you don't do some things. First, if you find something that you know it did not belong to you, it does not belong to you, you don't know the owner, there are some things that you should do to make sure that you don't get charged for larceny by trick, larceny by findings. You must first try to establish who the owner is. you must try to alert the police or alert the authority, alert someone, making them aware of the findings, that in the event that someone needs to reach out, they know where to find you. That is larceny by finding. Hey, listen, you might not feel good about that law, but I did not write it. And let me just use the time to tell you, I am just talking to you from the angle of a regular citizen of the country. Okay? And I am talking to you like a person who can read from the Constitution. And guess what? You also have the ability to read from this act that is called the Larceny Act. Okay? So both of us have the same information. But I happen to think that I can explain it a little bit better than maybe if you would have read it for yourself. So this is my fiduciary responsibility to come out here and try to explain these things. How did I get this responsibility? It happens to be that I am doing this out of humanity. I am doing this out of being a citizen who cares about the other citizens of the country. All right? So now, with that, let's continue into larceny. Now, larceny, as I explained earlier, takes on many different shapes. And so you have larceny now, which can be robbery. Robbery is proven in many different ways. How robbery is proven is that someone would have come and taken away your property in or out of your presence. So the person could have been broken into a place and stolen something or take something away from that building with the intention to go away with it. And before I go any further, let me just say about the Larceny Act. What does the Larceny Act say? The Larceny Act says that larceny is a felony, and it is committed by any person who, without a claim of right made in good faith, takes and carries away anything capable of being stolen with the intent at the time of such taking to permanently deprive the owner thereof. What them the big fancy word mean? Those words mean that at the time when the person took the property from that person's intent was to take away that property so that the person who he took it from no longer has control over that item or that thing, and that person would have gone to his or her own way and use it for their own benefit without the proper owner being a part of their what they would have taken from this person. So that in a nutshell is saying taken from someone with no claim to that thing that you would have taken away, and you want to deprive the person. He has no more connection to that. Now when it says made in good faith and without a claim of right, let us use an example now. Let us say, for example, two persons are standing at a bus stop. Two persons have the same color blue suitcase and they're standing at the bus stop. One person walk over and pick something up or buy something from someone, and that person came back and not realizing or not even paying attention that he or her would have taken up the wrong suitcase. And that person now would have taken that suitcase and gone to his place or her place of abode, and upon reaching there, that person might realize, oh, this is not my bag. And by the time that person gets to his or her house, the police would have been there waiting on that person, because that person could be seen on camera going away with that bag. but that person legitimately had a claim of right. That person believed genuinely at the time that this bag or this suitcase that the person had was his or her property. And so with that, the person had a claim of right, and the person took it away in good faith. The person did it with no malicious intent. So this is why the act says, who without a claim of right made in good faith takes and carries away anything capable of being stolen with the intent at the time of such taking to permanently deprive the owner. So with that scenario that I just gave you, the person could have proven to the judge that, listen, I took up this bag believing that this bag was mine. And the judge will then look into it and say, all right, yeah, I don't think you would have taken this bag, this suitcase. Your intent was to really deprive the owner. And so you might not be charged for it. And so I am talking to you not from the angle of a lawyer. I am just talking to you from the angle of a person who saw the law, and I read it and I interpreted it this way. All right, so let's move on now to some more serious part of larceny. Now we're talking about house breaking. Now when someone breaks into your house, whether you are there, yes or no, that person can break into your house, steal whatever they want to steal from the house, and that is called house breaking when you enter into a dwelling house. A dwelling house is somewhere that someone lives. All right. Now, if the person breaks into that house and someone is in the house when that person breaks into the house, now that house breaking now can be upgraded now to robbery now, because that person would have put the occupants of the house in fear while that person retrieved that person's property. And so this is why I'm saying larceny can take many different shapes depending on when it was done and how it was done. All right? And so let us get into the other one that says embezzlement. Now, embezzlement is something that someone is entrusted with something, and that person uses that money or uses that person's asset without the person's knowledge and convert it to his or her own use. That is called embezzlement in a nutshell. And so the other one that I want to touch on is sacrilege. Now, religious people, you would find this one interesting, because sacrilege is breaking into a place of worship and stealing anything from that place of worship, something that would be considered sacred. And that would be called sacrilege, breaking into a place of worship. Whether you go into a church, whether you go into a mosque, or any place of worship, stealing from that place, doing the same thing as I mentioned in the scenario. If it was done in a house, it would have taken on house breaking. But if it was done inside of a church, removing things that the church finds sacred, that would be sacrilege. Now, the other one I want to talk about now is misappropriation. Misappropriation is a term often used by the politicians. Now, when the politicians say funds were allocated to fix the road from up there to down there, and this money was misappropriated, and they speak so eloquently and tell you that this money was misappropriated, not telling you that misappropriation is stealing for a group of people, and you use people's money in such a way that it does not benefit the group but benefit you as an individual, and that is called embezzlement, misappropriation. When you misappropriate, so embezzlement and misappropriation are similar, but it depends on how it was done. It takes on a different shape. And the charges for these offenses takes different shape depending on how it was done. Okay? And so let us go into the difference now. There's another one that I must talk about now, and this one is called extortion. And you would say now, extortion. How is extortion different from robbery with aggravation? Now, with extortion, the person must be in fear to be extorted. So the fear, when a person is extorting you, the person's physical presence is not necessary, because that person can use a phone call, that person can use things that would cause you to be in fear. And so that person would take your property by means of intimidation. Robbery with aggravation now is the physical presence, and that person will be aggravated. That person will do it to you in face to face. So robbery with aggravation and extortion are like twins, but one needs physical presence. The robbery with aggravation and the extortion not have to have a physical presence. So my people, listen, this is my opinion on the Larceny Act, and I am breaking this down from my understanding of the Larceny Act. If you would want to get some more knowledge about the Larceny Act, you could go ahead and look up under the Jamaican, the JIS, look for the Larceny Act, and then you could see some of the things that the Larceny Act covers. Also, they cover the predial larceny, and it depends on how the larceny was done, where it was done, and the time that it was done will take different shapes. So with that, my people, Unusual is just trying to express himself in a way that he think can be helpful to the Jamaican people in Jamaica and in the diaspora. So people, if you like my content, press the like button. You want to share it? Go ahead and share it. You haven't pressed subscribe yet? Press the subscription button, hit the notification bell, and as soon as I drop another video, you will be able to see it. And also, my people, check me out on Sunday, live on TikTok. I will be trucking around. This program is called Trucking Around, where Unusual and Honorable will be talking about everything related to truck. And if you have any questions or anything that you would like to talk about, just call in on the program and say. This program is called Trucking Around. Truck around and find out. Guess what? Guess what now,
the views when we speak, you no need for your agree. Me welcome all interactivity. Rock and come in, sit for your beat. Come make we reason for real.
Unusual. I'ma say comment when you need to. Like if you want to. And share if you have to. Unusual.